So I've had a lot of people ask me to find this Dezi Freeman podcast, which has been deleted from the internet, which is between Dezi Freeman and a sovereign citizen high up, I will say. His name is Mike Holt, and this was deleted from the internet post August 26, what happened up at Paul Punker. But I think this is an interesting video no matter what side of the fence you sit on in this Dezi Freeman situation. Let's
All I have in this world is my oaths, my word, and I don't break them for good.
Rightio legends, Chaos Chronicles, and we're back again with another banger. And so today, I've been getting asked a lot if I could do my deep searches and find the deleted podcast between Dezi Freeman and Mike Holt, which is a sovereign citizen. He's pretty high up there in the sovereign citizen community. He has his own podcast. And yeah, so a lot of people ask me to find this as it has been deleted from the internet. And it's not exactly deleted from the internet. It's just not playing on the major outlets that it used to be. So this is a podcast that was made in 2019. And I just think it's interesting, obviously, considering what happened post this podcast. And like I said, it's definitely going to be interesting for anybody, no matter what side of the fence on this Dezi situation you sit on. Now, whether you think there's a conspiracy theory to it, or whether, you sit on the side of the government and you think that everything that they are saying is true, I think that this is going to be a very, very interesting listen for you guys. And so because this is only an audio podcast, I have got some Dezi footage, which is all would have seen, which is from Dezi's court case, and just other clippets, which is just going to be running as B-roll in the background, so you're not just sitting there looking at a black screen. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, and some things that are said in there, and it depends how much you've been looking into this. Like, I've been researching this Dezi Freeman stuff with a small group of people, and just some of the names that are said in this podcast are names that seem to come up a lot in this Dezi Freeman situation. And yeah, I just think it's absolutely just interesting, and also it just brings to question, why were these things deleted off the internet? And all major sites anyway, this can only be found in one place. And yeah, it raises a lot of questions, and I know that a lot of people have been waiting for this, so let's get into it. And yeah, like I said, it is absolutely going to surprise a few of you guys. I will just let you guys make up your own mind on what you think of it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And yeah, it's definitely interesting to say the least. So jump down there in the comment section and let me know what you think. And also, if you haven't already subscribed, trust me, this is the time when you want to subscribe. I'm getting out there this week. We are going to go to that area and we're going to have a talk to some people. And yeah, I just think that this is definitely the time you want to be subscribing to the Chaos Chronicles. And if you jump up there and smash that bell icon, you will never miss any of my clips again on whatever device you watch me on. Well, all right, let's get into it.
G'day there. This is the Bloody Aussie Battler podcast with your host and fellow battler, Mike Holt. The Bloody Aussie Battler brings you news and commentary on the political shenanigans in Canberra and around Australia. So grab a beer and fire up the barbie. We're about to roast some politicians and expose their nefarious activities. This episode is brought to you by Dick Yardley's book, Australian Political and Religious Leaders, Treason, Treachery and Sabotage. Dick exposes how Whitlam, Hawke, Keating, Goss, Rudd and all the other Fabians have destroyed our manufacturing and agriculture. If you want to know exactly how they have done it, get Dick's book at advanceaustralia.com.au and click on merchandise. Knowledge is power. Get the power to fight the corruption today. I've got a bloke in my studio at the moment, a fella called Dezi Freeman, who has done something quite amazing. Dezi, you arrested a magistrate the other day. Can you tell us what led up to that? And first of all, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and where you're from, etc.
Yeah, I'm Dezi Freeman, a photographer from Myrtleford in northeast Victoria. I've been accessing Mount Buffalo my whole life, and this case has arisen lately where a couple of newcomers from Melbourne have decided they want to close off a road that's been used for 120 years.
When you say newcomers, who are these people?
Just a pair of nobodies moved up from Melbourne and think they can start closing off people's access to Mount Buffalo and start suing their neighbours in the first year.
So they're actually just residents there, they're not even government?
Yeah, that's right. They just bought property and they seem to think that they can just effectively appropriate half of Mount Buffalo National Park by controlling this road and by using me as a scapegoat, because they know I've got no money and they think I'm the weak link, and then set an example by suing me to everybody else so they effectively get control of the mountain. Anyway, they picked the wrong person to mess with, and I think they're finding that out now.
Are these the bogans that I saw on that video harassing you?
Yeah, directly behind them, it's their friends.
Uh-huh.
And it's the same place that the bogans you saw on a current affair. That's where they ran when a current affair confronted them. They ran straight to this place behind.
Mm.
So it's been to court 9 times now. I've been dragged through 9 court cases. Tons of taxpayer money wasted in the persecution of an innocent person who's done nothing more than bushwalking, while we see countless real criminals getting let off all over the country.
Yeah. So
I think everybody's familiar with that story.
Fair enough. So how did you get into court and what happened once you got into court?
Well, on the day, it was the 9th court hearing where they were to hand down a decision about the road. And
the access to the road.
Yeah, and I'd beaten this fancy pants barrister from Melbourne, Chalk, and a local lawyer, Charles Morgan. Beaten them hands down, and everybody knew that by my written submission as well. The facts stood on their own.
Mm.
So it was obvious to me that the magistrate and all of them, they couldn't stand somebody like myself to make a fool of these people. So they just...
It's not too hard.
Try to railroad me, same old thing. Everybody's seen it before. Made up absolute rubbish in the courtroom. All kinds of mistakes and all the rest of it. Ignoring evidence. They allowed perjury as evidence. They've blocked vital evidence. I had 10 letters from the public. Look, the list of things goes on. I won't bore you with it. But basically, they've tried to railroad me, and I just called into question. I was forced to call into question the authority of the court.
Well, so how did you do that? What did you say?
Well, I'd already stated in one further hearing to the magistrate that they don't have grant of power and they don't have any authority to hear the case. And that was besides the fact that here's a magistrate's court trying to contradict a landmark Supreme Court decision, which was Anderson versus Stonington in the Supreme Court of Victoria in 2016. And that precedent upheld common law and the people's right of access in situations exactly like this.
Mm.
And so here's a magistrate's court trying to do their own little thing in the Wild West, in Myrtleford, and then Wangaratta Court. So on this day, I wasn't about to allow myself to be bullied or suffer any more injustice or corrupt actions from these people.
Good on you.
Who were breaking the law on multiple levels. So I called into question the authority of the court. And I told the magistrate that I required a ruling as to whether the Constitution was suspended in this matter, to which he went silent.
Yeah.
No kidding. I asked him again. And then he's tried to say, I'm only going to talk about costs and all these things. I'm like, no, you have no right. I told him you have no right to put any costs order on me. And this was not a court of competent jurisdiction. And I've got a right to a fair hearing in a court of competent jurisdiction. That's the law. And if a court is not a court of competent jurisdiction, it has no rightful authority.
Right.
So that's what I stood up to.
Excellent. Now, I believe you had a policeman and a Commonwealth public official there, a CPO as well. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. It was about that stage that I informed the magistrate that I had Mr. Jim Reck, a Commonwealth public official, present in the court as a witness, and pointed him out. And at that stage, there was only one policewoman in the court in a standard uniform. But of course, once I started to speak the truth and politely challenge the authority of the court, a couple of fully armed police officers came into the back of the court with their guns and tasers and all their jingle bells hanging off them. Yeah, which was a pretty pathetic act by the court, really, but no surprises there.
Sorry? Typical, trying to intimidate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they operate.
So anyway, with the magistrate didn't know what to do, and he's try to keep just sticking to his line of getting me to engage a discussion about costs, as if I was going to pay $40,000 costs to these fraudulent, lying perjurers that had sued me, whose constant fraud and lies and perjury I've constantly pointed out to the court all the way through 9 hearings, which has been completely ignored by the court, while they've been so intent on busting me for bushwalking while ignoring serious criminal acts in the court. I've got every one of them written down, so that's why I've stood up to this, you know.
Okay, so once you challenged his authority and these cops came in, what happened then? How did you arrest him?
Well, I said to him that he's aware that the oath of allegiance to the Queen was removed from the Legal Practices Act, and they all know this fact, and they just choose to ignore it. They conceal it. And Rob Hulls was the one who did that treasonous act on the 5th of September 2000.
Yep.
And he's been charged with treason as a result. All these people who are operating under false authority, like this magistrate, are aware of it, and that's misprision of treason, concealing treason. It's a serious offence.
Absolutely.
So I spelled it out to him.
Yeah.
And I said, you don't have grant of power. And he didn't say anything. So I asked him, where's your grant of power coming from? And he couldn't answer. Because he knows damn well that he doesn't have it. The only power that he can have is the power of my consent.
Correct.
And I didn't give it. And I stated quite clearly in previous court hearings at the start that I didn't consent to any of it. So that's what people need to remember. If they're gonna give their consent, the government can do anything.
Yeah.
The government can come in and police can come in and raid your fridge and cook your dog if you let them.
Yes.
if you give them consent.
Well, as you saw the other day with my video, when the police came to try and censor me for saying something on Facebook they didn't like, I just told them to bugger off.
That's right. Yeah, that was a good video. And yeah, at least that cop actually, obeyed the law. Yes. Instead of acting like a thug and a moron and a tyrant like some do.
Yeah. I'm
not saying they all do. I know cops out there that they seem to be decent blokes. They seem to be caught between trying to do the right thing and then getting told to do the wrong thing by higher up with their jobs on the line. Yeah, so they put themselves in a difficult position.
That's right. I got the sense that as soon as I told him to bugger off, he was relieved because he didn't really didn't want to be there. But let's get back to the court there. Obviously, you went into court very well informed and prepared, understanding the law. So just let me.
I did, and then I didn't want to have to go down that path. I'd been along. I played their game for 9 court hearings, expecting that they would do the right thing and that they would consider all of the laws and all of the facts and not just take a deliberate myopic view of some that suits an agenda.
That's right.
But that's what happened, and so I had to step up.
Yeah. Well done. So did you actually physically arrest the magistrate or put handcuffs on him? What did you say and do?
No. Well, I think the movies have programmed people into that way of thinking. To arrest means to stop. Just like the spark arrestor on a motorbike or whatnot, it stops sparks.
Yeah.
So I've stated that I arrest him, and what for. It's then the highest ranking police officer present's duty to make the arrest. Now look, it's completely, to execute the arrest, it's completely irrelevant if he's manhandled or not.
Right.
The guts of an arrest has nothing to do with being manhandled. And these police to go and crash, tackle and handcuff and brutalise people, that's not an arrest, that's an assault. And I'm sure anyone who that's happened to will agree that it is indeed an assault.
Yeah.
Where it's unlawful, some cases it might be necessary where someone's a psychopath. And so the arrest stands at law. That's where the arrest is.
Right.
And then the Commonwealth public official has stood up and reiterated the fact that he's witnessed misprision treason in the court.
Mm-hmm.
The police officers were informed that it's their duty to make the arrest, which they refused to do. No surprises there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a few comments there on Facebook by people who just don't seem to get it.
Oh, yeah.
And they seem to think that an arrest is all about crash tackling people to the floor, which is quite ridiculous.
Yeah.
There was even a lawyer, a very snooty lawyer who was very put out and flustered by the whole thing. He was making nasty comments on Facebook. And he said, if you had done that, the police would have broken your arm. So, he knows, he admits the violence,
Yes.
the unlawful violence that can come out of police himself.
Yeah, I saw his comments on your page. Can you tell everyone what your Facebook page is?
Well, it's not my page. Alpine Regional News. Some people are trying to say it's my page. It's not my page. I've got enough things to deal with. There's some good people that run that, various people, and there's a lot of good people behind me. The support has been off the scale. I never fathomed that so many people would stand up. I mean, it's had something like 2,500 shares already.
Yeah.
That's shares, let alone actual views.
Well, I think a lot of people have been waiting for something like this to happen, mate.
Yeah, well, that's right. And look, if it wasn't for legends like Jim Reck and Jerry Donahue, and especially Brian Shaw,
Yeah.
if you know those names, and some of the people out there will know those names, these guys are working behind the scenes. That's what you call true leaders. We've got these fake leaders like ScoMo and all these losers, these criminals. ScoMo and all the rest of them. No matter what political party they are, it's the same criminal organisation.
Yeah.
But then people need to realise a thing called natural leaders, and natural leaders just emerge by their actions.
That's right.
And Brian Shaw, Jim Reck and Jerry Donahue are just three of many. And you yourself, Mike, I have to say, a natural leader. Your website is fantastic.
Thank you for that. Actually,
that's not idle compliments. That's a fact, mate. It's very important stuff that leads and teaches people what they need to know. So,
well, that's cirnow.com.au, and actually the article about your arresting the magistrate is right at the top, with a picture of the magistrate's court at Wangaratta. So, people can go to the website and read the article and find out what actually happened. But it's good to hear it right from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So now that you've arrested this case, what's the next step?
Okay, so the charge sheets will be drawn up this coming week, and not only for the magistrate, there's other people involved.
Mm-hmm.
I won't go into that at the moment. And so, those charge sheets will be served. Now, it's then the job of other people involved in the system to process that. And plenty of people have pointed out how corrupt the system is, and that probably won't happen.
Yeah,
that's not the point. The law is the law. No one is above it. I don't care if it's the Queen or the Pope or or ScoMo or who it is.
Exactly.
They want to pretend that it's an equal country and then there's justice. Then the law applies to everyone. Don't pull this who's who crap on me.
Yeah.
It's about what's what. It's not about who's who.
Yeah, look, I think a lot of people are jubilant that you've done this, because we've all been wanting to do it. We've all been talking about it, but nobody's actually done it, and you have. Well done.
Well, Brian Shaw and Jim Reck have. It just wasn't publicised as much.
Tell us about Brian Shaw. I know of him. I've never actually met him, but he's been a long-time friend on my Facebook pages, and I have quite a few because I keep getting banned. But I know Brian is very well versed in the constitutional law. So tell us something about what he's been up to.
Basically, this whole path, I'll call it, is you could say it's led by Brian Shaw, and he's got an excellent website called Elijah's Challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And that website explains a whole lot of things for those who would take the time to study it, which what I highly recommend everyone do.
Yeah.
As well as your website, of course. It's not even fair for me to describe Brian Shaw. It wouldn't do him justice. So, if everyone can have a look at his website,
yes,
and follow his lead, that would be a great step into putting an end to the serious problems we've got in this country.
I just did a Google search while you were talking, and there is his website, Elijah, ELIJAHS, challenge.net, all in one word. And the next one down is Brian Shaw versus Attorney General Victoria. I'm going to read that. That looks interesting. 2017 issues before the court as Elijah's challenge. He's really putting it to them, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he formed a grand jury at Bendigo a couple of years ago, which I attended. And, that was quite amazing. It hadn't been done before, as far as I know.
I didn't know about that. I thought ours was going to be the first one. Wow.
Yeah, and I went to that, and there was a lot of people there, something like 100 people there from all over. Yeah, very important stuff. And look, Jim Reg, Jerry Donoghue, and there's heaps of others that I haven't named. People are out there working quietly behind the scenes.
Yeah, Paul Kirchner, Dino Buttermere.
Deserve a lot more publicity than what I've got. And I would call these people my mentors. They're the natural leaders. They're the people that should be, prime ministers or magistrates or whatever positions of authority people would care to bestow upon them,
There was a case up in Cairns just recently. Did you hear about that one? His name is David Walter. He had his...
yes, I did hear about that on Cairns News.
Right.
And that was, and there's another legend, oh my God.
Well, he's preparing a case now that's going to...
They brutalised him, they put him in jail and everything, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They stole his land. He's now living on somebody else's land and in dire monetary straits, but... he has put together a new challenge to the system, and he's going to take them down. I mean, he went to court earlier this year up in Cairns, and he won. He did basically what you did. He stopped the magistrate, or stopped the judge. Didn't actually arrest him, but he stopped the whole case because he said, you have no authority.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're finding this out.
I followed his stories on Cairns News there.
Yeah.
But I hadn't heard anything about him. So has he got a website?
No, he's off the grid. He doesn't get involved in the internet at all. I had the pleasure of meeting him actually. Beginning of this year, I went up to his place. I spent a whole day with him, and he just sat down there and he just drilled all this information into my head. Literally, I walked out of his house at around about 6 o'clock at night, staggering with the amount of information he'd given me. So, wow. Yeah, he's an amazing fella.
So that you could do some video interviews or something and put it online for him.
Yeah, I might do that. He lives a long way out of Cairns. I have to fly up to Cairns and then drive about 2 hours to get to his place. And I'm my business partner, who was underwriting my work, has run into some, let's say, monetary problems at the moment. His business is not doing too well. But as soon as he gets back on his feet, and I think he will be soon, we'll be certainly pouring a lot more money into this thing and starting to fight in earnest. But my wife copped a speeding fine a while back. Was it speeding fine? I think it was, yeah. Anyway, they kept on sending letters to us, and I kept on sending them back, and they finally took away her licence on Saturday. So... she freaked out and said, all right, I'll pay the fine. So I did it, but I wrote this letter to the SPER, SPER, which is the State Penalties Enforcement something or other, and I wrote this to them. I have just helped my wife pay your unlawful fine, and I gave the number, and in very big capital letters, under duress. You have not followed Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1901 common law. You have convicted her without trial. This is to inform you that many Australians have woken up to the criminality all Australian government corporations, and in brackets, Spur is a corporation, not a government body, and we are coming after you. Read this, and I put a link to the article about you arresting the magistrate. And I finish off by saying, we, the people of the Commonwealth of Australia, have the right and the power to arrest and charge you all with misprision of treason. We are coming for you to make you pay for your crimes against the people. There are no excuses for you.
These
Remember the Nuremberg trials?
You'll find us on YouTube channel.
Well, I got a response back.
You can also find us on Facebook.
Yeah,
you can listen to all our podcasts on our website. At
Basically, they just ignored it and said, you've got to talk to our bosses, our political bosses. He said, and his name was Thomas. Thank you for contacting the Queensland government regarding your wife's fine. Well, there's a lie for a start. If you wish to comment on government policy, you can forward your comments directly to the relevant minister or government department/agency, individual members of parliament, or to the political parties. And if you would like to make a suggestion for your community and or Queensland as a whole, or become involved in policy discussions, you can contact your local member to discuss this further. Well, there's only one comment I would like to make, or suggestion. Hang the bastards.
Yeah, exactly right.
But notice he takes...
That's what we've got to do.
Yeah.
And look, the only reason that anyone pays a fine or goes along with these corrupt, unlawful acts perpetrated on us is when you take it to its logical conclusion. It's all just about what's enforced down the barrel of a policeman's gun.
Exactly.
And my message to the police out there is that your job is to uphold the law, and that means the correct hierarchy of law, and that does not mean selective implementation of the law. Selective implementation of the law is the greatest form of corruption in this country.
Yep.
And with that fine, for example, it doesn't have the right authority behind it.
No.
So if your wife is quite entitled to drive around anyway, there is no loss of licence.
Yeah.
And has the right to drive anyway, so long as she drives properly, which I'm sure she does.
Yeah.
And for a policeman to come along and use force of any kind on your wife or any of us is completely unlawful, illegal and unjustified, and does not have the right authority behind it.
No.
Just because some bureaucrat writes, or some corporate bureaucrat writes some piece of jibber-jabber, it doesn't make it law. It's only law if it's in sync with the common law, if it actually serves justice and is actually a good law as decided by the people. Any of these iniquitous laws are no law at all and entitled to no obedience.
Exactly.
People need to wake up to this fact.
Yeah. Mate, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. We're about 25 minutes into the discussion. I bet you didn't realise it was that fast, did you?
No, I'm just getting warmed up, Mike.
I know. Well, we might get you on again after you've taken action against this magistrate to tell us, follow up on what's happening. But I want to thank you very much for coming on today, Dezi. It's been a real pleasure. I love your name, Dezi Freeman. Gosh, and you were born with that. How good is that?
Freeman's the name, freedom's my game.
Damn right. Good on you, mate. And thank you very much for standing up for the law and for all Commonwealth of Australia people.
Thanks so much for all your support, Mike, and to everyone out there who's given me overwhelming support, and it's a pleasure to have been on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Good on you. Bye.
So there you go, the deleted podcast. And as I said, you can make your own minds up about that. I just set out to find it. And I think it's pretty obvious, though, that around the COVID time, which was 2019 and onwards, the police were quite interested in Dezi Freeman. Now, that footage which is at the Benalla foreshore at the lake there was from when he was having a meeting, is the Benalla police. Now, I have dealt with those exact police there in that video, and it just makes me wonder why August 26, 2025, the Paul Punker incident, why were they going so hard on Dezi Freeman? And I think, it just makes you wonder. And It's definitely interesting, that podcast, to say the least. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm quite interested to what everyone's got to say about this. And yeah, keep in mind, so we are going up to that Paul area this week, and we're going to talk to some people. And so also chuck down there in the comment section questions you'd like me to ask, and particular people in the community that you'd like me to speak to, and we will get around to absolutely doing that. But anyway, guys, I have been the Chaos Chronicles. You guys have been absolutely awesome. And like I said at the start, this is definitely the time where you want to be subscribing to the Chaos Chronicles. And if you jump up there and smash that bell icon, you will never miss any of my clips again. And as always, don't do drugs and crime, and you won't end up in prison. We out.